Very cheerful morning to you all. Here I am back with the continued reading of the chapter The Adventure of Blue Carbuncle. Till this time we have got to know that this is the story taken from the collection Sherlock Holmes, and here the conversation is going between two persons. Who are they? They are Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. So here Dr. Watson goes to the place of Sherlock Holmes, and there what is the scene? Sherlock Holmes is busy in finding out the reality behind a tattered hat. He is trying to find out the owner of that hat, and from where he had got that hat we already have read about that Peterson gave him that hat, who was the commissioner of police and who got that hat from a tallish man. So till this time this was the story. So now we will continue with the story. So here we left with the scene when Sherlock Holmes announced that Peterson would have been coming any moment to cook that goose which Peterson got along with that hat. So now they decided that what they would be doing, they cannot keep that goose for a longer time because it would smell a bit foul. It won't be of any use. So now he decided that he would be cooking that goose and then they will use that. So now here they are waiting. Let's read out further. Did you advertise in the papers so that the owner can claim the hat? So here I am starting up with the dialogue of Dr. Watson. He wants to ask, he is asking this Sherlock Holmes about that hat, that whether the advertisement has been given in the newspaper so that the owner could be pointed out. No. Then how will you know who the owner is? We know what we can deduce from this hat. But you are joking. I don't see what you can deduce from this battered hat. Here is my lens. You know my methods. What can you gather about the man who owns this hat? I took the tattered object in my hands and turned it over rather ruefully. It was a very ordinary black hat of the usual round shape, hard and much the worse for wear. So now here what is the description? That Sherlock Holmes is claiming that he would try to find out the owner from by deducing the facts from the hat. So now even he is putting the question to Dr. Watson that what he could get by seeing that hat, what he could deduce that who can be the owner of that hat. But here Dr. Watson doesn't have any answer to this question, but whereas this Sherlock Holmes, as though he is quite intelligent and more towards detective, his mind is more towards detectiveness. So he is able to deduce the facts and then he is able to get that who may be the owner of this hat. So here he says that I am minutely observing this hat with my lens and forceps and I will try to find out the owner. So here he is talking about the silver lining of the hat. He says that it was a good real discolored. There was a silver lining of silk and then here, but it is now discolored. There was no maker's name, but as Holmes had remarked, the initials HB were scrawled upon one side. It was pierced in the brim for a hat securer, but the elastic was missing. For the rest, it was cracked, exceedingly dusty, and spotted in several places, although there seemed to have been some attempt to hide the discolored patches by smearing them with ink. So here again there is more description about the hat, that is quite tattered, quite dusty, and then two initials are pierced on that hat, but there is no complete name of maker could be shown. And then what else is there? It's the description is given that it is in quite bad condition. It had been in good condition, as though this silk material even had been used in that hat. So definitely this hat would have been belonging to a person who had been quite rich. But now his as though that hat had some spots on that, so and somebody had tried to remove those, hide those marks even from that hat, but those marks even are still clear, and moreover the color of the hat even is quite escaped, that is bit patchy, discolored and all that. I can see nothing. Tell me what you have deduced from this hat. Holmes looked thoughtfully at the hat and said, the man leads a sedentary life and is quite clever. He is middle-aged and is not in good physical condition. His hair is grey and he puts lime cream in it. He was rich but is now no longer so. So now this is the deduction by Sherlock Holmes after seeing that hat, which I already have mentioned. The one thing which I forgot to mention, that is he was middle-aged man. The hat belongs to middle-aged man, and the one who doesn't have strong physique, right? So then, and moreover, he is the person who leads a sedentary life. What do you mean by sedentary? Sedentary lifestyle is that lifestyle in which a person sits for more time. He doesn't do good amount of exercise. So that is sedentary lifestyle. But here he mentions, although the person is from that kind of lifestyle, but still he is quite clever. And then what is the scene? How could he get to know that he is a middle-aged man? Because he gets a fragrance of lime cream from the hat. So he guessed that the person might have been applying lime cream on his grey hair. So from here he could have found, he could deduce these things. Holmes had a few other such details about the man. I was astounded. I must be very stupid, Holmes, for I am quite unable to follow you. For example, how did you deduce that he is clever from his hat? Well, the hat is very large, so he must have some brains. So now Dr. Watson wants to know that how could he deduce that this hat, the person who is the owner of this hat is clever. So he says that as this hat is too big, so the person might have had good brains, might have some brains. How do you know he has grey hair and uses lime cream? There is some fine grey hair on the lining of the hat, therefore his hair must be grey. There is a fine whiff of lime from the hat, and so he must use lime cream. Discussed earlier, Holmes had a logical explanation. So now he is giving the logical explanation of all his deductions, what he could get of lime cream and of grey hair. He found a grey hair on the silver lining, so that's why he could find out. While Sherlock Holmes and I were talking, Peterson rushed into the room. So now here is the entry of Peterson, whom they were waiting. he showed us a beautiful blue diamond that his wife had found in the goose. So now he is there rushing into the room with a blue diamond which his wife found. And from where? She had found that diamond from the goose. So now how can that diamond enter into that goose? Let's read out. Sherlock Holmes immediately recognized it as the beautiful gem that had recently been in the news. Holmes recalled reading about the theft. It had been stolen from the Countess of Morcar while she was staying at the Hotel Cosmopolitan. A plumber who had come in to set something right in the room had been accused of the theft. Ryder, an attendant at the hotel, had given evidence that he had shown the plumber in shortly before the stone went missing. So now, as soon as as Peterson came and showed that blue carbuncle to Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, so then Sherlock Holmes went into his flashback and he spontaneously got to know that this is the same carbuncle which was there in the news days before, and then that was stolen from a hotel, and the name of the hotel was Cosmopolitan. So here the suspect was the plumber, as according to the attendant of the hotel. So now what is the scene here? The Countess was very fond of the gem and was offering £1,000 as a reward of its recovery. You see, Watson, our little deductions have suddenly assumed a much more important and less innocent aspect, said Holmes thoughtfully. The question for us to solve now is the sequence of events leading from a rifled jewel case at one end to the crop of a goose in Tottenham Court Road at the other. So now what is the question in their mind is to find out the sequence. So now they have connected these two cases. One of theft of carbuncle, which was done at the Hotel Cosmopolitan, and the next one, that is this goose and the owner of the hat. So now they are connecting those two cases all together, because that same carbuncle has been found in that goose which they have got it, which Peterson found from the talisman. So now what is the scene? So now they talk about that. Now Dr. Watson, you see now what we need to do. Not only we are doing deductions, so now here we need to find out the sequence of the deductions, the sequence of the events, that now we need to deduce that event. The first step Holmes took was to place the following advertisement in the papers: found at the corner of Good Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Baker can have the same by applying at 6:30 this evening at so and so address, 221B Baker Street. This brought Baker to Holmes, and after a little conversation, so now here what is the scene? They have given an advertisement in the newspaper, and now what is the scene? There is appearance of Mr. Baker at the scene. So now let's see. Brought Baker to Holmes, and after a little conversation, it became quite clear to us that he was innocent. So Holmes gave him a fine goose to replace the one he lost, and sent him off very happy and contented. So after that advertisement, Mr. Baker came, and Sherlock Holmes found out that he was quite innocent. He was not the culprit behind putting that blue carbuncle in the goose. So what he did, he gave a new goose to that person, and that person left happily because he didn't know anything about that carbuncle. So when Sherlock Holmes told that person that I will be replacing that goose with a new one, so he was quite happy. So he could guess that he doesn't know anything about that blue carbuncle. So then who is the one who is behind that? The next step was to trace the seller of the goose. Some questioning of Mr. Baker led us to the seller, Mr. Breckenridge. A little conversation with him and we found Mr. Baker's goose for Christmas and had come from a lady called Mr. Oakshott from Brixton Road. So now here there is appearance of another two characters. So now Mr. Baker has pointed out the person Mr. Breckenridge. So here he says that he ordered that goose from this person, and on the evening of Christmas. So now he is even into the picture. He might be the culprit behind that scene. So now then he says that that person got that goose from the lady Mrs. Oakshott, and then from where that lady belongs to? That lady belongs to Brixton Road. So now this takes Sherlock Holmes to that lady Oakshott. As Holmes and I were making plans to contact Mrs. Oakshott, we heard a hubbub near Mr. Breckenridge. The goose seller was shaking his fist at a little rat-faced man who was winning that the goose was his. So now he says that when they were making a plan to go to contact that lady Mrs. Oakshott, so now they saw Mr. Breckenridge therein, and then he was claiming that that little rat-faced man was that goose was his, and he sold that goose to Mr. Baker. Ha! This may save us visit to Brixton Road, whispered Holmes and went after the man. So now here they just planned, but this person came into the existence on his own, and now he has told the whole scene that I have sold that goose to Mr. Baker. So now he is happy that now he won't be getting any need to move to that Brixton Road. The man, it turned out, was Ryder, the hotel attendant. He was Mrs. Oakshott's brother. She bred geese for the table for her living and had promised Ryder a fine goose for Christmas. Ryder, who had given evidence against the plumber, was the one who had stolen the gem. He wanted to see his sister with the gem in his pocket. He put it into the mouth of the goose. He thought that his sister had reserved for him to avoid being caught red-handed. So now who is the culprit behind that blue carbuncle? That is the hotel attendant Ryder, who just pointed out that plumber, that person might be the culprit. He might have stolen that blue carbuncle, but he himself stole that blue carbuncle and he put that carbuncle in that goose which her sister had, right? That Mrs. Oakshott was his sister. So now here the story revealed that who was the culprit behind that. However, he got the wrong goose, and the goose that had the gem got sold to Mr. Baker through Mr. Breckenridge. In despair, Ryder tried to recover the goose from Mr. Baker by having him waylaid by hoodlums. But as it happened, neither did Ryder get the goose nor did he recover the gem, because Mr. Peterson came by and frightened the roughs away and brought the goose to Holmes. So now he wanted to get that gem along with him, but suddenly by mistake that goose was sold to Mr. Baker by Mr. Brickenbridge, and now here Ryder could not have that gem on his own, and to whom that gem was sold, that person even didn't have that gem, because the people from that troop tried to attack them, and then Peterson ran behind that tallish man, Mr. Baker, and then he left that goose there. So both of them couldn't have that blue carbuncle with them. So this is, and then this way that blue carbuncle reached Sherlock Holmes. So this was the story. Rest we will continue tomorrow. Thank you.